Talvex had served as an archivist for 40 years. He had recorded the fall of empires, the death of species, and the endless victories of the Valkyrie Dominion. He thought he had seen everything worth seeing. He was wrong. The day everything changed started like any other conquest. Talvex stood at his recording station on the bridge of the Eternal Supremacy, the greatest warship in the Dominion fleet. Around him, officers moved with the calm confidence of predators who had never known defeat. Admiral Sir Khan sat in his command chair, his four eyes fixed on the blue planet growing larger in the view screen, Earth. That was what the creatures called their world. "Archivist," the Admiral said without looking at him, "begin your record. Today, we add another species to our collection." Talvex activated his recording device. "By your command, Admiral." Conquest number 348. Target species, humans. Classification, primitive. Threat level, minimal. The Admiral made a sound of amusement. Minimal is generous. These creatures still burn dead plants for energy. They fight wars among themselves with chemical explosives. They have not even achieved proper space travel. Talvex looked at the planet below. It was a pretty world, he thought. Blue oceans, green lands, white clouds. The humans had been lucky to evolve on such a rich planet. That luck had run out. The Dominion had ruled the Orion Spur for 12,000 years. In that time, they had encountered 347 species. Some they had enslaved. Others they had destroyed. A few useful ones they had allowed to serve. But none had ever defeated them. None had even come close. "Launch the subjugation fleet," Admiral Sir Khan ordered. 200 warships broke formation and descended toward Earth. Talvex watched them go, already composing the victory report in his mind. It would be brief. Primitive species never required much documentation that the first strange thing happened 20 minutes later. "Admiral," a sensor officer said, his voice uncertain, "the planet's cities have gone dark." Sir Khan leaned forward. "Explain." "Their power grids have shut down. All of them. At the same moment." Talvex frowned. That was unusual. Primitive species typically panicked when invasion fleets arrived. They ran, they screamed, they prayed to whatever gods they believed in. They did not coordinate. "Perhaps their systems failed from fear," the Admiral said. "Continue the operation." The landing craft reached the surface. Thousands of Valkyrie soldiers poured out onto human soil, weapons ready. The communications channel filled with standard reports. Position secured. No resistance encountered. Civilians absent from expected locations. Then the report stopped. "Landing Group 7. Report," a communications officer demanded. Silence. "Landing Group 12. Report." More silence. "Any landing group, respond." Nothing. Admiral Sir Khan stood slowly. "What is happening down there?" Talvex watched the sensor displays with growing unease. The life signs of their soldiers were vanishing. Not retreating. Not regrouping. Simply disappearing, hundreds at a time. "Admiral," the sensor officer whispered, "we have lost contact with all ground forces." "Impossible." Sir Khan's voice was flat. "They have nothing. No shields, no energy weapons, no military capability worth mentioning. How are they fighting back?" No one had an answer. The Admiral ordered more troops to the surface. Then more. Then more. Each wave vanished like water poured into sand. The sensors showed brief flashes of combat, explosions, heat signatures that flared and died. But no clear picture of what was happening below. Talvex found himself recording with shaking hands. In 40 years, he had never documented anything like this. The Valkyrie did not lose soldiers to primitive species. They did not lose soldiers at all. "Sir," the communications officer said suddenly, We are receiving a transmission from the surface. Show me. The view screen flickered. A human face appeared. Talvex studied the creature with professional interest. 2 eyes, 1 mouth, pale skin covered in some kind of fabric. It looked soft, weak, harmless, but its eyes held something that made Talvex deeply uncomfortable. The human was not afraid. "Greetings," the human said. Its voice was calm, almost friendly. "I am speaking on behalf of the United Earth Defense Council. I wanted to thank you for finally arriving." Admiral Serkan's face twisted with confusion. "Thank us? We have been waiting for you for 79 years. Ever since we found one of your scout ships in a place called Roswell. Your pilot did not survive the crash, but your technology did. We have had a long time to study it, to understand it, to improve upon it." The bridge had gone completely silent. Talvex realized he was holding his breath. "You came to harvest us," the human continued. "That is what you do, yes? You find primitive species, and you take what you want from them. Their resources, their labor, their lives." The human smiled, and Talvex felt a chill run through his body. "You should have studied us first. You should have learned what we are. We are not prey, Admiral. We have never been prey. We are the thing that other predators fear. You are primitives," Serkan spat. "You are nothing. We are humans. We have been killing each other since before your species learned to walk upright. We have fought wars that burned entire continents. We have split the atom and poisoned our own world just to build better weapons. We are very, very good at violence." The human paused. "And now, for the first time in our history, we are united. Every nation, every military, every person who can hold a weapon. All of us working together with one single purpose." "And what purpose is that?" The human leaned closer to the camera. "To show you what happens when you threaten our home." The transmission ended. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the sensor officer made a small, broken sound. "Admiral, something is rising from their oceans." Talvex looked at the display. Across the planet's surface, massive shapes were emerging from beneath the water. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Ships his mind finally recognized. Human ships, built in secret, hidden for decades, waiting for this exact moment. And they were heading for orbit. Admiral Serkan stared at the screen. For the first time in his long career, Talvex saw fear in his commander's eyes. "What have we awakened?" The Admiral whispered. Talvex did not answer. He simply kept recording. He had a feeling that this archive would be the most important document he had ever created, if any of them survived to read it. The reports came in fragments. Broken transmissions, dying screams, footage that made even veteran soldiers look away. Talvex collected every piece, organizing the horror into something the Dominion Council might understand. He was not sure he understood it himself. Commander Vethrak had been one of the finest ground officers in the fleet. His last recording showed him crouched behind a destroyed vehicle, his armor cracked, his weapon empty. His voice shook as he spoke into his communicator. "They are everywhere. They know this terrain like they were born in it. Because they were. Every building is a trap. Every street is a killing ground. We walked into a city expecting slaves. We found ourselves in a maze designed to destroy us." In the background of the recording, explosions echoed. Human voices shouted in their strange language. "They collapsed a building on my entire 3rd unit. Dropped it like it was nothing. They had placed explosives in the foundations before we even arrived. They knew exactly where we would go. They have been planning this for longer than I've been alive." A sound of gunfire, close and loud. Vethrak flinched. "Their weapons are primitive. Chemical propellant, metal projectiles. but they fire so many of them, and they do not stop. We killed one of their soldiers today. Shot him 6 times. He kept fighting until we destroyed his brain. His body did not know it was supposed to die. Talvex paused the recording. He had watched it 4 times now. Each time, it disturbed him more. The Valkyrie had evolved as apex predators on a harsh world. They were strong, fast, and intelligent. For 12,000 years, they had proven their superiority over every species they encountered. But now, for the first time, they were facing something they had never encountered before. A species that simply refused to lose. He resumed the recording. We captured one of them, Bethrak continued. A female. She was wounded, bleeding from multiple wounds. We thought she would break easily. Our interrogators are very skilled. He paused. She laughed at us. She laughed and said that her people have a saying. Pain is just weakness leaving the body. I do not know what that means. I do not want to know. More gunfire. Closer now. They fight without logic. They destroy their own buildings to kill a handful of us. They poison their own water supplies so we cannot drink. They burn their own food stores so we cannot eat. What kind of species destroys its own world to deny it to an enemy? The answer came to Talvex slowly, a cold understanding settling in his chest. A species that values victory more than survival. A species that would rather die than surrender. The recording continued. I asked the prisoner why they fight so hard. They cannot win. Our technology is vastly superior. Our numbers are greater. Logic says they should submit and hope for mercy. Bethrak's voice dropped to a whisper. She said something I will never forget. She said, "You are not the first monsters to try to conquer us. We have been fighting monsters since we lived in caves. We have gotten very good at killing monsters. That is what humans do. We find the thing that frightens us, and we learn how to destroy it." The recording dissolved into static. Bethrak never transmitted again. Talvex moved to the next file. This one came from a medical officer aboard a Valkyrie assault carrier. "The wounded are unlike anything I have ever treated," the officer reported. "Not our wounded. Theirs. We captured a human soldier who had lost his arm. Lost it completely, torn off by one of our plasma rounds. He was still fighting when we subdued him, still trying to kill us with his remaining hand. We had to sedate him 4 times before he stopped struggling." The medical officer held up a scan display. "Their biology is remarkable. Their bodies produce natural pain suppressors during combat. Their muscles can operate far beyond normal limits when they are frightened or angry. They have a chemical response called adrenaline that essentially turns them into short-term berserkers. Evolution built them for sustained conflict. They are not pack hunters like us. They are endurance predators. They chase their prey until it collapses from exhaustion." The officer shook his head. "But it is not their bodies that frighten me. It is their minds. This soldier knew he was dying. He knew we would not save him. And he was not afraid. He was angry. He cursed us, threatened us, promised us that more of his kind would come. His last words were a message for his family. He told them he loved them and that he would see them again someday. Then he smiled and died." The officer looked directly at the camera. "They believe in an afterlife. They think death is not the end. How do you defeat an enemy that does not fear death? How do you break a species that sees dying in battle as an honor?" Talvex closed the file. His hands were shaking again. Admiral Sirkon had ordered a full retreat from the planet's surface. The ground war was a disaster. Thousands of Valkyrie soldiers were dead, and they had gained nothing. The humans had sacrificed their cities, their infrastructure, their own lives, just to bleed the invasion force dot, and now the real war was beginning. The human fleet had reached orbit. Talvex watched from the bridge, as their ships took formation around Earth. They were ugly vessels, all hard angles and thick armor. No elegance, no grace. They looked like weapons because that was exactly what they were. They adapted our technology, a science officer reported, his voice hollow. They took our shields and made them stronger. They took our engines and made them faster. But they did not copy our weapons. They improved their own. What do you mean? Admiral Sir Khan demanded. They use kinetic weapons, Admiral. Mass accelerators that fire solid projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. Our shields are designed to disperse energy weapons. These rounds punch through like they are not even there. The first human ship fired. The round crossed the distance between the fleets in less than a second. It struck a Valkyrie destroyer directly in the reactor core. The destroyer exploded. All ships, return fire. The Admiral screamed. The battle for Earth had begun. And Talvex, watching the chaos unfold, understood something terrible. This was not a conquest anymore. This was a war. A real war, against an enemy that knew how to fight one. The Valkyrie had never fought a real war. They had only ever fought massacres. That was about to change. The battle lasted 3 days. 3 days of fire and death and screaming metal. 3 days of watching the greatest fleet in Dominion. History torn apart by creatures who had been burning fossil fuels just decades ago. 3 days that shattered everything the Valkyrie believed about themselves. Talvex recorded it all. He could not look away. The human tactics made no sense at first. Their ships would charge directly at Valkyrie formations, ignoring defensive positioning, ignoring their own survival. They fought like animals, reckless and wild. It took hours before Talvex understood what he was seeing. They were not reckless. They were calculating. A human cruiser, engines damaged, hull breached, turned directly toward the Valkyrie battleship Righteous Fury. It accelerated instead of retreating. The battleship fired everything it had, tearing chunks of armor from the human vessel. The cruiser did not stop. It did not slow down. It rammed the Righteous Fury at full speed. Both ships died in a bloom of nuclear fire. They are insane, a Valkyrie officer whispered. They are absolutely insane. But Talvex saw the logic now. The human cruiser had been dying anyway. Its crew had known they would not survive. So they had chosen to take an enemy with them. They had turned their deaths into weapons. The Valkyrie had no answer for this. Their doctrine assumed that every ship would try to survive. Their tactics were built around the idea that enemies would retreat when damaged, would surrender when cornered. The humans did neither. A disabled human destroyer, engines dead, weapons offline, was approached by Valkyrie boarding parties. Standard procedure: capture the crew, salvage the technology, add another victory to the records. The boarding parties entered the ship and found the crew. Waiting for them, the humans had rigged the reactor to explode. They triggered it manually. They looked their enemies in the eyes and pressed the button that killed them all. The explosion took out the destroyer, the boarding craft, and 2 nearby Valkyrie frigates. Why? Admiral Sir Khan demanded, staring at the expanding debris field. Why would they do this? Talvex thought he understood, though he did not want to say it aloud. The humans were not just fighting to win. They were fighting to make the Valkyrie afraid. Every suicide attack, every desperate charge, every refusal to surrender was a message. A warning. This is what happens when you come for us. This is the price you pay. On the second day, the Valkyrie fleet attempted to retreat. They had lost over 60 ships. Their formation was broken, their morale shattered. Admiral Sir Khan ordered a withdrawal to regroup and call for reinforcements. The humans followed. "They are pursuing us," a sensor officer reported, disbelief thick in his voice. "They are leaving their defensive positions to pursue us." "Let them," Sir Khan said. Away from their planet, they lose their advantage. We will destroy them in open space. But the humans did not care about advantages. They cared about finishing what they had started. Their fleet spread out, surrounding the retreating Valkyrie. Small, fast ships darted in and out of the formation, targeting engines and weapon systems. Larger vessels provided covering fire, their kinetic rounds punching through shields and armor alike. They moved like a pack of predators, hunting wounded prey, because that was exactly what they were. Talvax watched a human fighter pilot perform a maneuver that should have killed her. She flew directly through the debris field of a destroyed Valkyrie cruiser, using the wreckage as cover, emerging on the other side to destroy 3 enemy craft before they could react. Her ship was damaged in the process, leaking atmosphere, systems failing. She kept fighting until her vessel finally broke apart. Her last transmission was 2 words: worth it. On the 3rd day, Admiral Sirkan received a message from the human fleet. The same calm voice from before. The same face on the view screen. The human commander who had promised to show them what happened when you threatened their home. "Admiral," the human said, "your fleet is destroyed. Your soldiers are dead. Your invasion has failed. I am offering you one chance to surrender. Take it, and your surviving crews will be treated according to the laws of war. Refuse, and we will finish what we started." Sirkan's face twisted with rage. "You dare demand our surrender? You are primitives. You are nothing. We are the species that just killed half your fleet with technology we built in secret over 70 years. We are the species that turned your own weapons against you. We are the species that does not know how to quit." The human paused. "And we are not done yet. What do you mean?" The human smiled. It was not a friendly expression. "We intercepted your distress calls. We know you have already sent for reinforcements. We know the Dominion will send more ships, more soldiers, more weapons. And we know that you think you can still win this war. We will burn your world to ash. You can try. But here is something you do not know about humans, Admiral. We do not just fight defensive wars. We do not just protect our homes and wait for the next attack. When someone hurts us, we hurt them back, harder. We make sure they never hurt us again." The human leaned forward. "Your reinforcements will arrive to find Earth defended. But that is not all they will find. They will find that we are coming for you. Your homeworld, your colonies, your entire dominion. We are going to take this war to your doorstep. And we are going to end it there." The transmission ended. Admiral Sirkan stood frozen for a long moment. Then he gave the order that Talvax had never heard a Valkyrie commander given 12,000 years of conquest. "All ships, full retreat. Get us out of this system, now." The Eternal Supremacy fled. Behind them, the human fleet did not follow. Not yet, but Talvax knew they would. He had seen what humans were capable of. He had watched them sacrifice everything, endure everything, destroy everything in their path. They would not stop until the Dominion was broken. He began drafting his report to the Council. They needed to know what was coming. They needed to prepare, though he suspected that no amount of preparation would be enough. The message spread across the galaxy like fire. Talvax first saw it on a stolen frequency, hidden among routine communications. A simple transmission, broadcast on every channel the humans could reach. It was translated into 100 languages, including Valkyrie, to all species living under Dominion rule. We are humans. We were attacked without warning, without provocation, without mercy. We were supposed to be harvested like animals. We chose to fight instead. And we won. The message included footage. Images of the battle above Earth. Valkyrie warships breaking apart, their debris falling like rain. Human soldiers standing victorious on their own soil. The fleet that had come to conquer them, retreating in disgrace. The Dominion told you that resistance is impossible. They told you that they are too powerful, too advanced, too superior to be challenged. They lied. We challenged them. We beat them. And now we are coming for them. Talvex watched the message play again on his personal screen. He had seen it a dozen times. Each time, it filled him with a deeper dread. You do not have to wait for us to save you. You can save yourselves. Rise up. Fight back. The Dominion cannot control you if you refuse to be controlled. They cannot enslave you if you refuse to be slaves. Join us. Together, we can end this. Together, we can be free. The message ended with a symbol. A blue circle on a black background with a white star at its center. The flag of United Earth, within weeks. The rebellions began. Talvex monitored the reports from his new posting on a communications station far from the front lines. He had been reassigned after the disaster at Earth. The Council wanted his records, his observations, his understanding of what had gone wrong. He gave them everything he had. They did not listen. The humans are primitives, Council Leader Vornthex declared. They achieved one victory through surprise and deception. It will not happen again. We will crush them and their pet rebellions together. But the rebellions were not pets. They were wildfires. On Kethral, a mining world where Velkari overseers had worked the native population to death for generations, the slaves rose up overnight. They killed their masters with mining tools, with rocks, with their bare hands. They captured the orbital station and broadcast their own message. We are with the humans. We are free. On Silvar, a manufacturing center that produced weapons for the Dominion fleet, the workers sabotaged the assembly lines. They destroyed months of production in a single night. When Velkari soldiers came to restore order, they found the factories booby-trapped and burning. On a dozen other worlds, similar stories. Species that had been broken for centuries suddenly remembered how to fight. They had seen the human victory. They had heard the human message. And they believed. The Dominion sent reinforcements to Earth, 1,000 ships, the largest fleet ever assembled. They arrived expecting to find a damaged planet defended by wounded survivors. They found a fortress. The humans had not wasted the months between battles. They had built more ships, trained more soldiers, prepared more weapons. And they were not alone anymore. Vessels from a dozen rebel species had joined their fleet. Former slaves fighting alongside their liberators. The second battle was shorter than the first. The Dominion fleet, spread thin by rebellions across their territory, could not match the combined force. They were driven back within days. Then the humans advanced. They did not stop at defending their own world. They pushed forward, taking system after system. Every Dominion outpost they captured, they offered the same choice: surrender and live, or fight and die. Most chose to surrender. Those who did not were destroyed without mercy. Talvex received word that the human fleet was approaching the Velkari homeworld. The Council had evacuated. The military had retreated to defensive positions. The civilian population had been told to prepare for the worst. He expected the humans to burn the planet. It was what the Velkari would have done. It was what any conquering species would do. Destroy the enemy's homeworld, break their will to fight, end the war in fire. The humans did something worse. They broadcast every screen, every communication device, every display on the Velkari homeworld lit up with footage. Images of what the Dominion had done to other species over 12,000 years. Mass graves on conquered worlds. Slave camps where entire populations had been worked to death. Execution chambers where rebels had been tortured and killed. The full, unedited history of Velkari conquest. Most Velkari citizens had never seen these images. They knew their empire was powerful. They knew it was vast. They did not know it was built on genocide. Talvex watched the broadcast from his station. He had known, of course. He was an archivist. He had recorded many of these events himself. But seeing them displayed so openly, so brutally, made him feel something he had not expected. Saying that the human fleet entered orbit around the homeworld. They did not fire. They simply waited. A delegation arrived on the planet's surface. Human soldiers, yes, but also representatives from every species the Dominion had ever conquered. They marched through the capital city, past crowds of silent, staring Valkyrie, to the steps of the council building. The human ambassador was a small female with scars across her face. Talvex later learned that her family had died in the initial invasion. Her parents, her siblings, her children, all of them killed in the first hours of the war. She did not scream for vengeance. She did not demand blood. She stood calmly before the assembled Valkyrie leaders and delivered humanity's terms: unconditional surrender, full accountability for war crimes, reparations to every species you have harmed, the immediate release of all slaves and prisoners, the dismantling of your military apparatus, and the establishment of a new galactic order where no species rules over another. Council leader Vornthex laughed. Actually laughed, despite everything. You cannot be serious. These terms would destroy us. The human ambassador did not blink. You destroyed countless species. You enslaved billions. You committed atrocities that will take generations to heal. And now you want mercy? She shook her head. We are offering you survival. That is more than you offered any of your victims. Take the offer, or we will end this war the hard way. You would not dare. Destroying our homeworld would make you no better than us. The ambassador smiled. It was a cold expression, without warmth or humor. We are not going to destroy your homeworld. We are going to occupy it. We are going to put your leaders on trial for their crimes. We are going to rebuild your society from the ground up. And we are going to make sure you never threaten anyone again. She paused. That is not revenge. That is justice. The difference matters to us, even if it does not matter to you. The council refused the terms. The humans shrugged and said they would wait. They did not have to wait long. Within days, Valkyrie citizens began surrendering on their own. They had seen the footage. They had heard the truth. Many of them could not live with what their species had done. The council fell. The war ended. Not with a final battle, but with a quiet collapse, as an empire built on conquest discovered that it had nothing left to conquer. Talvex watched it all happen. He recorded every moment, and he began to understand something about the humans that he had not grasped before. They were not just warriors. They were builders. Destroyers when they needed to be, yes. But their true strength was not in their capacity for violence. It was in their capacity for something else entirely. Hope. They had given hope to the hopeless. They had shown the galaxy that resistance was possible. And in doing so, they had accomplished something that all the Dominion's armies had never achieved. They had changed everything. 10 years had passed since the war ended. Talvex stood in a garden on Earth, surrounded by flowers he could not name and trees that grew taller than any on his homeworld. The air smelled sweet and clean. Birds sang in the branches above. Children played on the grass nearby, their laughter carrying on the warm breeze. Some of those children were human. Some were not. He had come to complete his archive. The document that had consumed a decade of his life. The record of how the Valkyrie Dominion had fallen and what had risen in its place. The council had wanted him to destroy it. The new government had wanted him to continue. In the end, the choice had been his. He chose to tell the truth. The garden was a memorial, a place built to honor the fallen from every species that had fought in the war. Human names carved in stone beside Velkari names. Former enemies sharing the same sacred ground. It should have felt wrong. It did not. You are the archivist. Talvex turned. A human female stood behind him. Old now, her hair gray, her face lined with years. But he recognized the scars. He recognized the eyes. Ambassador Chun, he said. I was not sure you would come. You asked to speak with me. I could hardly refuse. She walked slowly to stand beside him, looking out over the garden. This is where my daughter is buried. She was 8 years old when your ships came. Talvex felt the weight of those words settle on his shoulders. I am sorry. Are you? I did not fire the weapons that killed her. I did not give the orders. But I recorded the conquest as though it were routine, as though the lives we took did not matter. He paused. I was wrong. I understand that now. Chum was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded. That is why I agreed to meet you. The Valkyrie who cannot admit what they did, who still believe they were justified, who blame us for their defeat rather than themselves for their crimes, I have no patience for them. But you, she looked at him with something that was not forgiveness, not quite, but something close. You are trying to understand. That matters. They walked together through the garden. Talvex asked the questions he had carried for years. Why had the humans not destroyed his people? Why had they shown mercy to an enemy that had shown none? Why had they rebuilt instead of conquered? Chan answered slowly, choosing her words with care. We thought about it. Believe me, we thought about it. After the first invasion, after we saw what your soldiers did to our cities, our people, there were many who wanted revenge. They wanted to burn your homeworld the way you tried to burn ours. They wanted you to suffer the way we suffered. Why did you not? Because that is not who we wanted to be. She stopped beside a fountain, watching the water fall. We have a violent history, Archivist. We have done terrible things to each other over the centuries. Wars, genocides, cruelties that I cannot explain or excuse. We know what it means to give in to hatred. We know where that path leads. She turned to face him. When we won the war, we had a choice. We could become the thing we had defeated, or we could become something better. We could prove that power does not have to mean cruelty. That strength does not require oppression. That victory does not demand destruction. And so you showed mercy. We showed justice. There is a difference. Chun's voice hardened slightly. Your leaders were tried for their crimes. The guilty were punished. The structures of your empire were dismantled. That was not mercy. That was accountability. But we did not punish the innocent. We did not enslave your children for the sins of their grandparents. We did not become you. Talvex considered this. It was a distinction he had struggled to understand. The Valkyrie way was simple. The strong ruled. The weak obeyed. Mercy was weakness. Forgiveness was foolishness. The idea that you could defeat an enemy completely and then choose not to destroy them was alien to everything he had been taught. But watching the children play in the garden, human and alien together, he began to see the wisdom in it. Your people confuse me, he admitted. You fight like demons when threatened. You are capable of terrible violence, terrible sacrifice, terrible determination. But when the fighting is done, you stop. You put down your weapons and offer your hands instead. Chum smiled. It was the first genuine smile he had seen from her. That is the hardest part. Anyone can learn to fight. Learning to stop fighting, learning to build instead of destroy, that takes real strength. We are not perfect at it. We fail sometimes. But we keep trying. Why? Because we have to believe that things can get better. That tomorrow can be better than today. That our children will inherit a universe worth living in. She gestured at the memorial garden, at the names carved in stone, at the flowers growing over old wounds. This is what we fight for. Not conquest, not glory, not power. This, peace. A future where no one has to die because of where they were born or what they look like or how they pray. Talvex looked at the garden with new eyes. He had seen it as a monument to victory. Now he understood it was something else. A promise, a commitment, a declaration that the war had been fought for something more than survival. "I would like to include your words in my archive," he said quietly. "If you will permit it, you may." Chun began walking again, toward the center of the garden where a large stone stood. "But first, I want you to see something." The stone bore inscriptions in dozens of languages. Talvex recognized some of them: human tongues, rebel species, even Valkyrie. At the top, in the common script that had become the shared language of the new coalition, was a single sentence: "In memory of all who fell from every world in every war. May we learn. May we grow. May we never forget." Below that inscription was a list of names. Thousands of them. Millions, perhaps. And not just human names. Names from every species that had fought and died. On both sides of the conflict, Talvex found Valkyrie names on the stone. Soldiers who had followed orders. Officers who had carried out invasions. Even commanders who had committed atrocities. They were remembered here, alongside their victims. "Why?" he asked, his voice rough. "Why would you honor them?" "We do not honor what they did. We remember who they were. They were people. Flawed, mistaken, some of them monstrous, the people. Their deaths mattered. Their lives mattered. Forgetting that is how empires like yours are built. By pretending that some lives are worth more than others." She placed her hand on the stone. "We will not forget. Not the heroes, not the villains, not the innocent bystanders who were caught in between. All of them are part of this story. All of them brought us to where we are now. And where we go next is up to us." Talvex stood in silence for a long time. Then he reached out and placed his own hand on the stone, beside the human ambassadors. "I understand now," he said, "why you shattered us. It was not hatred. It was not revenge. You shattered what we were so that we could become something else. Something better. We could not force you to become better. We could only give you the chance." Chun looked at him. "What you do with that chance is your choice." Talvex nodded slowly. Then he returned to his recording device and began to speak. Final entry. The war is over. The Dominion is gone. In its place, a coalition of free species works together to build a new future. The humans, who shattered us, now walk beside us as partners and guides. They teach us their ways, justice tempered with mercy, strength guided by wisdom, victory measured not in conquest but in peace. He paused, looking out over the garden one last time. They shattered us. But in the breaking, we found something we had never known we were missing. A reason to be better. A hope that tomorrow could be different from yesterday. They gave us that gift, even after everything we did to them. I do not know if we deserve it, but I know that we must try to be worthy of it. He ended the recording. The archive was complete. In the garden, a Valkyrie child and a human child chased each other through the flowers, laughing in the warm sunlight. Neither of them remembered the war. Neither of them cared about old hatreds or ancient crimes. They were simply children, playing together in a garden built on the bones of the past, growing toward a future that their ancestors had never imagined. Talvex watched them for a long moment. Then he smiled, something he had not done in years, and walked out into the light. The day the humans shattered them had been the worst day in Valkyrie history. That had also been the first day of something new. Something worth building. Something worth believing in. The archivist closed his eyes and let himself hope.